One of the biggest myths in our community is that the black fathers are not there.
My father, for example, he was there.
It's not about the end result, it's about the process.
There's too many mothers that are raising these kids.
I couldn't watch it because I was so afraid they were going to kill him.
What do we present before you all to get you guys engaged in anything?
Because anytime a man can come in your house and lay with your wife right next to you, what kind of self-esteem you gonna work with?
Hi, I'm BJ King, and I want to welcome you to the Birthright Project. This is the first show of the Birthright Project entitled Our Fathers. This season, we have a gift for our young black men. We will be putting back what has been taken by encouraging, teaching, guiding our future leaders. What is a birthright? A birthright is a human right that belongs to you at birth. Therefore, it is not a protest. Our focus is doing the work in our communities, identifying community and rebuilding. This means it all starts with you. Today, we start from the beginning. Let's work on our fathers.
What pull means is that if you notice from the story, the little guy is being kept alive by this motorcycle club. As you go further into the story, the motorcycle club and the boy's father, who's in the wheelchair, were high school buddies. So basically, the little boy is being kept alive from the pull of his father, because his father had clout.
What motivated you to use the intensity of the characters that you did? I couldn't watch it because I was so afraid they were going to kill him, and I didn't want to see that. I want the ending to be a happy ending. I just don't want to see any more kids just killed like that, so I want something happy. I want it, if not happy, but at least I want him to survive. In other words, even through all of the troubles and things, he may be scarred, but survive.
In the real world, that's our hope.
Yeah.
But in actuality, my son now is serving 38 years to life.
Oh my God.
And this was something that led up to the lifestyle that came behind this. And so, I'm a daddy, and so in all hopes, I would have hoped that he became this basketball star, and they offered him tennis shoe endorsements in high school. But that's just not reality all the time. And it's not always the parents' fault. You follow what I'm saying? So these stories, we can get into the habit of telling the real stories because a lot of us parents don't know who our kids are when they leave the house.
I have been a father since my late teens. I've done some really great things. I have 2 children who have graduated with degrees in college, and then I have 2 sons who are imprisoned with life sentences. So my story is a little different than a lot of stories. But we come together tonight to discuss the role of the father and what's been missing. If we were to list the order of the biggest issues in the black community, at the top, people would say it's our fathers. Today, I have here to discuss with me some fathers. Reuben Johnson, tell us something about yourself, Reuben.
Hey, nice to be here. I'm a filmmaker, and also I've been given the gift of being a father of 3 kids. I have a son, and I have 2 beautiful daughters. And 2 of my daughters are in college, and my son has reproduced himself, and I'm a grandfather now.
Welcome
so
to my life.
Yes, it's all good.
Next up, I want to introduce you to my man, Dorian Hampton. How you doing, D?
Wonderful, thank you.
Tell everybody about yourself.
My name is Dorian Hampton. I'm here from Pasadena, California. I'm just a up-and-coming athlete, student, and a uncle, daddy, if you would say. I don't have any children of my own, but the father of my niece is more or less absent, so I am stepping in to, take that role.
Nice.
It's great.
Big of you. Let me introduce you to Jace Ward. How you doing, Jace?
I'm doing fine.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a police officer and a father of four, 3 adult sons and a daughter. I grew up as, my father died when I was in middle school. So I was basically raised by my mom, raising 4 boys and 2 girls. So I felt it's real important, really, I learned real young that it's important to be that father figure. And I always said, I'm going to be there for my sons or my children in general.
Nice. Last but not least, Mr. Keith Burke. My man, how you doing, man?
How you doing? My name is Keith Burke. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I have 3 sons, 2 adults, and I pressed the restart button. I've got a 5-year-old, right. So I'm starting all over. Definitely been a learning experience. I mean, I feel like with this youngest one, I kind of get to get a little better this time. Right. I mean, all in total, I have 4 sons because I'm in a relationship, and what's hers is mine, and what's mine is hers. So I've learned a lot of patience, and so this is really an opportunity to do things in a way that I can understand from a much more mature perspective at this point.
So you mean to tell me you just took some woman's baby?
I took them. Yeah, we kind of adopted each other. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, great to have you guys here, man.
Good to be
It's
here.
great to be here.
My name is Jay Taylor. I am a fine artist, painter. I dibble and dabble in a lot of different mediums.
When you talk about work ethic and you talk about putting in the hard work when nobody's watching, when there is no immediate reward, right? That allows him to see that it's not about the end result, it's about the process.
What advice would I give my younger self? That is a very tough question. Loaded too.
In the cleanest respect, I wish I would have had my child at an early age while I was still dumb. Because
I think
at this
my
point
biggest
now,
challenge as a father has been balancing my role as a father while also trying to be my kid's friend.
Because I would want him to reflect all the best things about him.
The men that are fathers don't ever get the just due that they deserve.
I would advise myself to not play second to anybody, right? I would advise myself to be more aggressive. I think that would be the biggest advice because it kind of, it's overshadowing so much, right? If you want to be great at whatever it is, you can't have fear. I left Memphis truthfully because me and my father weren't really getting along. We didn't see eye to eye on very many things. He's a very proud man, right? Very strong black man. He is the type of father that doesn't explain what it is that he expects from you. He just expects you to do it because he says so, right? And I think because of who I was and who I was growing to be at 15, I don't think that he understood that part of me because he never got to know that side of me. He worked all the time. That was his duty, to work and support the family. And if you mess up or you do something that is out of character, or if you are too expressive, right, it's not good with him. Everything must be straight and narrow, kind of like it was for him. Interesting enough, he left home at 13.
Let's get into it. I want to know, what do you all think that some of the key core problems are in the community as it pertains to fathers?
It's a lack of importance in terms of feeling that there's a level of almost,
Responsibility.
you know, what's the word? It's apathy. It's like you don't really exist. You're not really important. What you have to offer really isn't that big of a deal. And so I think a lot of, when you don't see the importance within yourself, it's kind of hard to feel like you have something to offer.
Yeah.
You know, and then you look and you realize the seriousness of the responsibility of being a father, but you don't feel that you know, I think there's just there's this overwhelming wave in the community that where men don't really feel they have anything to offer, so they just don't bother rather than deal with it and take the chance at the learning through failure. Because there's going to be a lot of failure,
Right.
and you learn from that. But if you feel like you absolutely have nothing to offer, then you just kind of steer clear of that.
Back,
Yeah, you fall back. You don't deal with it.
And I think we have to go all the way back to slavery, where we can say it originated from. Because when you look at it, how as slaves, as black men, we were taken from our families way back then. Generation after generation, we've learned, or we've kind of been
Indoctrinated.
yeah, to say, boom, okay, it's time to step away. And so now, instead of being taken away, we're actually walking away.
Well, Jace, what do you mean when you say taken away?
Well, you know, in the beginning of time, we talk about slavery and how we were taken away and then brought over. And so as, you know, time has evolved, you know, it's gone from slavery being taken away to incarceration. Then we talk about the streets, where now we more involved in the gang banging or drug using and drug selling. And so we kind of, I think, branched or walked away from the family and taken ourselves out into the street. So, you know, it's more of taking away, you talk about this whole umbrella that we fall under, where there's many different categories as to how we're being taken away. But, you know, its bottom line is we have gone from slavery being taken away to now where we just walking away.
So that's from what you're saying, that's become customarily our mentality,
Yes,
to run away.
yeah.
My father, for example, he was there, but mentally he kind of was more involved with church and kind of neglecting the family in that sense, but he was there, and he cared more about, you know, the love and telling me he loved me every day, but more so showing more love to the church and kind of, you know, taking them on his back rather than our, you know, his kids and everything like that. Now he was there as far as discipline, of course, you know, which is why I wasn't straying off and everything like that. He was more on the strict side, but I feel like certain occupations also can take them away. The distraction from job and still being home, but not being there. You know what I mean? Not being engaged. So that's what I feel.
That's funny that he would say that, because one of the biggest myths in our community is that the black fathers are not there. So how do you think black fathers got such a bad rap?
As just a blanket statement, there's too many mothers that are raising these kids and trying to raise their sons, you know, when the man can be there, but sometimes that woman's a little bit too strong and not allowing that man to be that father.
Okay, now wait a minute, Rude. There's no women here, so let me defend the women.
All right.
So what about the woman that's out there saying, well, I wasn't too strong. I tried to love my cheating husband or man, and, you know, he didn't like the rules, and so he ran off and left me with the kids.
If I took the most important aspects of fatherhood and condensed it into one title, it would be Steady Wins the Race.
I was divorced when I was just a little boy, around 3 years old, if I can remember right. That was the last time I seen my dad, over 30 years ago now. I didn't get not a single call, not a single visit, not even a single penny for that matter. That experience had a tremendous influence.
We have to properly articulate the definition of manhood in order to understand the characteristics a man must have to be a father. As men, we automatically take on the persona of strength and provider, so as fathers we have to provide strength through compassion It's our responsibility to teach love, but we can only teach love if we actually love who we are.
Interesting enough, he left home at 13. So it was easy for him to let me go. He in my mind, assumed that that's what would make me be a man, right? And because he did it younger, that I would be okay. So in order for us to not get to a place where we were putting hands on each other, right? Because I don't think that's something that's appropriate for any 15-year-old to go through. And you know how stubborn and how crazy 15-year-olds can be. It probably was the best thing. So I didn't like to be boxed in, you know. It's kind of like, oh, let him be creative, let him be talented, but as long as he stays within this, you know, he's confined in this. And that wasn't working for me, you know. So I always say, you know, you can't play outside the box until you know what's in it, right? And I really think that I learned what was in that box at a very young age, which is why I'm kind of my biggest challenge, you know, to myself. So that rebel spirit I think it comes from that, you know? So I really had to leave because of that.
Wait a minute, Rude. There's no women here, so let me defend the women.
All right.
So what about the woman that's out there saying, well, I wasn't too strong. I tried to love my cheating husband or man, and you know, he didn't like the rules, and so he ran off and left me with the kids.
And I think that's another part of
that. Yeah, that's another part of the game as well. I mean, I'm not saying that does happen, but and from my experiences, I grew up in South Central. My mother raised me and my brother different dads. There was times where my brother's dad was right down the street watching him play in the yard, not engaged with him at all. Right. So he was a person that really needed that guidance. There's only so much my mother could do, right. You know. So he started getting into the gang stuff. He was a heavy hitter in Los Angeles, man. He was a Crip, one of the Hoover Crip guys. So I used to look at that. She's only so much she could do with working and trying to have him try to raise me, but he couldn't because he was out in those streets. My father didn't come into my life till I was 33 years old. Wow. You know what I mean? So it's it could be a catch-22, man. But those experiences allowed me to be who I am as a father, because when my son was born, well, it was a different relationship from my wife. When he was born, his mother tried to go away and keep me out of the situation totally. I wasn't having that. Right. You know what I mean? I wanted to be there. I wanted to be engaged. But she moved away and not even told me where she was. Right. You know? So that's one of the things that was prevalent.
So could we agree that our children's relationship with the fathers suffer because of the relationship with the mom and dad?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, once again, it goes back to slavery, because you had to have the woman basically create a docile male to keep him from being killed or sold off. So the woman was running the house.
Right.
Okay, because anytime a man can come in your house and lay with your wife right next to you, what kind of self-esteem you gonna work with?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that mentality and that sense of self has been passed on. And there's a certain level of powerlessness. And when you feel powerless, you try to exert your power where you feel you can exist, whether that's in the streets, whether that's having extramarital affairs or having many women, because you don't feel that you can exert your power in the boardroom because you're getting such a poor education and there's no value placed on education. Unless you see your father getting an education and bringing you along, then you don't place any value in that. Right. And so, unfortunately, when you were talking about the woman being strong, you know, when a woman, you know, that mentality, unfortunately, to a certain degree, creates an adversarial relationship within the household. And there's this power struggle. And when you know, deferring to a man as the head of the household doesn't mean you become powerless. It just means he's allowed to assume the role of, I'm going to guide our family in the direction in which I want us to go. And I think a lot of times that's missed, and what ends up happening is there's this power struggle, and a lot of men who, they end up leaving because the struggle was there. But it's men that leave for the reasons that aren't worthy of leaving anyway. But I'm saying that you know, to that point, there's a real issue, and I don't think a lot of people really understand that the woman it's not just about being a strong mind. We don't know how to defer to one another and let each other play each other's position.
Commonly is that even as you speak to running away, and we spoke about going to the gangs, and you even said having extramarital affairs, right? We have adopted this mentality that we go where we're celebrated and not tolerated.
Well, and I think too, also, when you talked about the education, a child learns more from what he sees other than what he's taught. So if, as a child, if you see that your father's not there, that becomes instilled in you to say, well, he's not there, so I'm not supposed to be there.
Right.
You know, so so now we start looking for those other avenues as to, hey, first you become my brother, now I get out here in the street and there's the older cat that says, hey man, I need you to come do this for me, I'm gonna take care of you.
You
Now
say,
you start
well, if your father's not there, so I'm not going to be there. But couldn't that be reversed, where if you didn't have that father in the home, and when you are an adult and you starting to have your offspring, shouldn't you have that mentality like, I'm going to be totally opposite of what my father was?
Right.
He was absent, so I'm not going to.
If you get that mentorship, and like, you know, when you stated in your bio that you've become the father of your girl's child, but you're not saying, well, okay, I'm here because that's your mama, I'm with your mama, and you don't exist, so you just in my house. But you have taken that child in and it's raising him as yours. So yeah, so in that aspect, I think that's what is being done.
But
So
there's this movement that's going on, right? It's the you ain't shit movement.
Yep.
And our kids, primarily our sons, have adapted that methodology. Like I listened to you, Ruben, talk, and you got emotional about your situation as it pertains to you and how you feel about your kids, right?
Yeah.
And you even spoke to the disagreement or the disconnect that you have with the child's mother, and that you insisted that you were going to do, because I'm the same person. There's nobody that's going to run me away from my child. I don't care what disagreement we have, and that child is just as much my child as it's your child.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes we have to go the long mile for that, you know what I mean? But I don't like the fact that there's no award for being a good father.
Right.
They only talk about you when you're not there. When you're there all the time and you get up all the time and you take care of the kids and take them to school and you do everything that a father is supposed to do, there's no celebration that comes with that. It's kind of like we're underappreciated. You know what I'm saying? And so to go back to Keith's point before, where you go and find where somebody is giving you that celebration, it's a different kind of atmosphere.
Remember on that part in The Color Purple when she was cutting Mr's face? You remember what she said? When he said, if you cut me, I'm gonna kill you. You keep that in mind, I'm gonna kill you if you cut me.
Keep perfectly still, that's what I'm saying.
So tell me, I mean, you say you are going to be a basketball star.
Yep.
You mean like NBA or just like...
I mean like Michael Jordan.
Oh, see, you're talking crazy, man. You might be a street legend.
No, I'm gonna make it to that MJ status.
You know, there's only one MJ now.
Yeah, I was killing them in trials today.
Yeah.
I was doing a pretty good job, actually.
Well, if you on that MJ status, you shouldn't even have to try out.
Things change, Pops. You gotta try out these days. You didn't have to try out?
No, man. You see these legs? These legs is powerful. Somebody told me that one time. But on a serious note, man, I want you to focus on your grades.
I'm focused.
And stay away from them girls, man. Them girls ain't nothing but trouble.
Come on, Dad. Every night we gotta talk about this.
Because every night you still doing the same thing.
Doing what?
Can't take this killing me. I'm done. I told you time after time to stay away from them damn girls. Your ass is already in enough trouble.
No, I'm not.
You are! Now when you leave up out of here, you can do whatever you want to do until your little dick falls off. But as long as you live up under my roof, you gonna do what I say do. You a kid.
I got it, Dad. I was just telling you.
You don't tell me nothing.
Slam my door again. You know that song, been over, let me see you touching the bell, brother. Deshaun, get back in here.
No.
Deshaun.
Sometimes we fight that inner energy of trying to be good and bad. So I was kind of relating that with that, the pull between the good and the bad that we fight on our inside.
So what is then, if not pull, then what? What do we present before you all to get you guys engaged in anything? And if it takes pull, if it takes the story of my son, I'll sacrifice my story to get us talking and get us engaged so we can create the kind of films that we all want to see.
I'm just gonna come at the award aspect. I just feel like you shouldn't feel like you need a reward for something that you're
supposed to
obligated to do. I mean, that's why I'm kind of stepping up just as an uncle. I mean, I know that the mothers are more praised, obviously, but later on down the line, if you prove yourself to be a great father, your kids are gonna say that, and that's rewarding. That should be rewarding enough, but society is not gonna praise us.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you
that's
this
just a
question.
given.
Why is the kid want to be celebrated when they bring good grades? That's what you're supposed to do.
True.
See, it's a difference.
It's based on their friends. They go to school, it's all social. It comes down to social. I mean, if you start out rewarding them, you get an A, then I'll give you some money. Then it entices them to do better.
My daughter told me like this: you spend all your time writing letters and at the prisons for my son, and here it is. I haven't done anything wrong. I've graduated college, but all your attention and your focus goes to the negative. It kind of makes me think I should have been getting in trouble.
I understand.
The generation behind us has a whole different way of thinking.
Oh yeah.
Than we've been brought up, and I'm sure the generation behind them will think differently than we think now. Thank you guys. This is hot. Birthright.